like you got it now. It looks like you've learned enough. So I'm going to let you go with it. Now, Lord, keep me day by day. I want you taking no breaks and taking no time off. Lord, I need you to cover me on a day-by-day basis. Let the false happiness collapse. James 4:9 says, be miserable and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy to gloom. This false happiness, this sense of this pleasure that you think that you have received, he said, turn that into something else. It's not what you think it is. James is not commanding believers to chase emotional guilt as through tears or as though tears are the proof of spirituality. He's addressing a specific phenomenon. When believers drift into perversion, they backslide, they often pursue pseudo happiness. They just want to feel better. I just want to be happy at whatever cost. Whoever else it hurts, as long as I'm happy. Whoever else is inconvenienced, that's fine, as long as I'm happy. That's what I'm after. I'm after this happiness. But mercy is grace in action. For you not getting what you deserve, that's grace in action. So both come. It's not an and or, it's really a combination of, grace and mercy. It should almost be one word. Because mercy is a display of grace. I should feel. But since your sins have been paid, when I paid you, I'm not going to do it. That's grace. Because death is what we deserve. Disappointment is all we should be getting. Let down is all we should have to do. We should have to manage our own stress. But God, that's grace. And he's being merciful in being gracious. And so that's what we look for. And it's not to put us on some guilt trip or something else where believers drift into perversion. They look for this pseudo happiness. I can find happiness in someone else or in somebody else. The stuff that is. I can find this happiness apart from God. I'm needed in this church stuff all the time. I'm needed in this studying. I'm needed in this worshiping. There's happiness in something else. And maybe for a moment it is. But I don't want happiness with consequences. What this happiness gonna cost you? $25 to life? I'm good. What this happiness gonna cost? Yeah, it's fun now. It's great now. It's, watching this documentary on BMF, this drug gang or whatever they were, just really exceptionally big across the United States, one of the biggest traffickers for this big region, and that's what his whole thing was. His brother was way calmer, way low-key, and liked to spend all his money out there. But Mitch wanted to have fun. He wanted to kick it. He wanted everybody to know who he was. He wanted that spotlight. While his brother was like, man, calm down. We don't need to do all that. So they got at odds, got into it with each other, and because of their points of view. Happiness is going to cost something. And he knew what he was dealing with, but he said, man, you were so great. He went and put up a billboard with his face on it. BMF in Atlanta. So you're not just going to call the police out, rub it in their face, tell them I dare you to come listen, because he thought that was what happiness was. But he was raised in a very Christian home. Mother and father were believers from the start and stayed that way. But happiness is not in this because, Mama, you serving this God, but we broke. Mama, you talking about the Lord, but we ain't got nothing. Mama, you talking about this, but we doing without. No, you're looking at it the wrong way. It's because he thought happiness was in those things. And now he has more of that stuff than he ever could realize. More of the stuff than he ever wanted. But what did it cost him? He's still locked up right now. Yeah, he's going to be there probably a minute too. Even if he got out on one charge, he get to the door, they tell him to turn around. We're going to get you on this one. You ain't free yet. But it costs you something. And now all you got to talk about is stories. And somebody else is making money off your story. So you don't even get to enjoy the fruits of the story. And you the one was the main character in it. And somebody else is capitalizing off your story.